Dark Moon Doll here. Today I want to show you how to make a large dreadlock fabric dreadlock bead for your dreadlocks. They can be so big that they can hold together more than one dreadlock. I've been trying to experiment with making bigger dreadlock beads out of fabric, and that's been a challenge because when you sew them, the hole starts to shrink up, so you have to make it twice as big. So today what I'm doing is I'm using a little bit of what's left of this fabric that I got from the thrift store. And I want to use this as the focal piece. I need to put another eye on there though. But it's a goddess charm that I was working on. It looks like her horns are kind of like snakes, but a horned goddess. And I was going to make it as something that you could put on your dreads. So, you don't have to get as elaborate with me when you make your fabric dreadlock beads. You can get as simple or as elaborate as you want to be. So it's up to you. You can just make it simple and just let the design be, the most intriguing thing about your bead. So basically I cut out a scrap of fabric. So I'm gonna fold it in such a way where it's nice and neat, and the frayed edges are on the inside of it. And then basically what you want to do is just there we go. So fold it over a little more. I think I should fold it the other way. That way this part's covering there. Because what you're gonna do is you're gonna sew down on this side and then sew the two ends together. So that's how that's gonna work. Right, hold on. Alright, I'm back. So yeah, basically what you want to do is just fold it over to where you don't see the frayed edges, and then get your needle and thread. I've got my thread. Needle, thread, scissors, and a pin cushion would be a good idea. Pin cushions are easy to make. My pin cushion, my evil eye pin cushion. But definitely a pin cushion is very much a necessity when you're sewing, so that you don't leave needles all over the place. It's not a fun thing to step on a needle. Definitely not. So, I hope you guys are having a good day today. My day is started off with a bang. But I'm doing alright. Doing this kind of work really helps to settle me down and not get me too worked up from the day. It's something that I can do that is very calming and peaceful. So yeah, I'm just going to sew the ends together. Not sew the ends together, but sew the folded pieces together of this scrap of fabric. What I probably could do is invest in some elastic, and then I could put some elastic through here and then make it into a scrunchie as well. I've been wanting to experiment with that. I haven't done that yet. I need to get some elastic, and that way I can work with it and make different type of hair accessories for your dreads. Because as people's hair, as you keep your dreads, as the years go by, they start to get more length, and it's nice to be able to have something that's not going to rip your hair up, like people are still using rubber bands, and rubber bands aren't that great for your hair. You get stuck in your hair. I used rubber bands a long time ago in my hair. Not in my dreadlocks, but when I didn't have dreadlocks, I used it. When I was making like afro puffs and things like that. It looked cute, but it was fucking hell on earth to get out of my hair because my hair, I have very coarse 4C hair, so if it gets stuck in there, it's not like I left it in that hairstyle for a long time. It's just as the day goes on, and if I sleep in it, then that's it. It's gonna be hard, next to impossible to get out of my hair. But I did use rubber bands at one point in my life, and I remember being impatient when I was a kid using them, and trying to get them out, and then it'd get knotted up, and then it's like, fuck this. Then I have to cut out the rubber band. Rubber bands, I don't feel like are meant for our hair, you know? Just not. May not be meant for anybody's hair, really, even on straight textured hair, you know? So, yeah, but you could probably, in this, it's like a tube, you could probably put like some elastic in there and then make a scrunchie out of it. I don't have, like I said, I don't have any elastic on me right now. So, I just giving you some idea that came to me. So, if you make it bigger, it's more like a dreadlock tie or something, or whatever you want to call it. If you make it a little bit bigger, then it'll fit over a bunch of dreads. So that's kind of something different. I've been just trying to experiment with making dreadlock beads or dreadlock accessories that are bigger than the dreadlock beads I've been making. Right now, currently on my Etsy shop, I do have a dreadlock, I guess you call it fabric sleeve, dreadlock sleeve, and it has an embroidered pentagram on it, and it's still on sale on my Etsy shop if you guys are interested. I showed it on a show a while back, so I'd like to be able to try to make a bunch of those type of beads. You can check it out on my Etsy shop, and I'll have the link in the description below where you can find my Etsy shop, where to go. So, yeah. Just trying to show you the basics of it. When you're hand sewing, you want to make sure you sew it over and over, more than once, more than twice, more than 3 times sometimes. Make sure that it won't come apart, especially if you're going to be selling things like this. Make sure you sew it as good as you can. For today, I'm just kind of showing you the basics of how to sew it together, and outside of the camera I'll be reinforcing it with more stitching, but just emphasizing that because you don't think that you can get away with just going over it twice or sometimes 3 times with sewing it with stitching. Because when it's sewn by hand, you got to make sure your whatever it is you're working on is sewn well. So, because a lot of people will judge a garment because it's sewn by hand, and people will look to garments that are sewn using a sewing machine more favorably. But the funny thing is, a lot of clothing that is made by a machine isn't always 100% tight. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times there's a lot of errors and flaws in what you would think would be a well-crafted garment or hair accessory or whatever. Just because something is expensive doesn't always mean that it's made well. So, I mean, because when I bought my last pair of shoes, athletic shoes, I think I paid like $30 for a pair of Sauconys, and they're like name brand shoes, but they've lasted me for many years. I need to buy a new pair, but they lasted me for many years, and yeah, it's not always the expensive stuff that's good quality. But, so here we go. So basically that's what I did. I just sewed together like a tube, and then I could sew these ends together. What time are we at on this video? 8 minutes? Okay. Sew these two together like that, and you have a really cool design for a hair accessory. This can even be worn by anybody, you know, even if you don't have dreadlocks, but I thought I'd cater towards the dreadlock community. People with dreadies, especially people with freeform dreads, to do something fun with their dreads if they want to, without damaging them, because with freeform dreads, a lot of people with freeform dreads will have dreadlocks that are of different size and shape. So it's nice to find something that you can put your hair up with that won't pull it and constrict it to a point where you can pull at your hair at the scalp and then it could come out. You know what I mean? Where you're wearing hairstyles in order to keep your hair out of the way and keep your hair safe, but at the same time, a lot of these hairstyles are so fucking tight that they're causing more harm than good. is what I've seen, and what I've experienced too. I've worn a lot of different hairstyles with my dreadlocks in the past, and what I learned is that a lot of these hairstyles were damaging my hair. They're weakening my hair. So I just suggest for people to, if they want to continue to have the hair that's on their head, be mindful of what you do to it. And for me, it's like doing as little as possible is the best thing. I mean, aside from just like keeping my dreads clean, keeping them as healthy as I can keep them, and that's it. Not trying to buy all these different products to put on my dreads thinking this is going to be some miracle type of, product. But you get like locked into all these products, and then all these products get locked into your locks. And you can't get this shit out. It's like you don't know what to do to get it out. Some things you can't control, man. But like you can't control the way your dreads grow. They grow how they grow. I've gotten so many people ask me how to grow my dreads like to look like mine. You can't grow your dreads to look like somebody else. If you do, then what's the point in having free-form dreadlocks? That's the point of it, is them forming freely without you manipulating them, trying to make them look a certain way. They're not free-form dreadlocks if you're doing that. To me, in my opinion, not so much in my opinion, my definition of what free-form dreadlocks are. And they're not about trying to make your hair look a certain way. Make your hair look like David Hines from Steel Pulse, you know what I mean? Or trying to make your hair look like Bob Marley. No, it just happens naturally. Your hair just will fall into its own pattern of what it wants to do. And a lot of the times your hair will form based on what products you're using on your hair, what abuse you've done to your hair in the past. It'll take on a different form and shape than anybody else's because you have different hair history. So the hair history plays a big role in it. Some people are deciding to let their hair freeform dread just from having an S-curl or whatever, or some other kind of process. Some people have had a relaxer or didn't want to cut all their hair off, and they just kind of let their hair dread and just let the relaxer wear out. So that can determine how your dreadlocks are going to look, really. That's how I see it. So here we go. People need to just be more confident in themselves. That's a problem these days, is people are just looking to everybody else for answers. And a lot of times the answers are within you if you take that time out to just listen to yourself. Listen to the excuse me, listen to the knowledge that we have within ourselves. And then we can better know our spiritual path here. So some people aren't into knowing about that and feel like that's not important. Then to them I say, okay, it's your life, it's your path. Everybody has their own path that they walk on this planet. Whether they realize it or not, they do. So here it is. So basically, I guess you could use it like, if you want to pull your hair back, usually this part doesn't go back because it's short right here. This is all new growth that's grown in, all of this hair here. I don't cut that's the thing with freeform dreadlocks, you don't have to do all that stuff. You don't have to like get your ends or whatever tightened or whatever. You don't have to do any of that. So that can be used. This can be used for really big dreadlocks. If you wanted to put them all in one, probably it could do that. Just do it like this. But it would probably be good to have something that fastens it. But yeah, see that? You can just do this with it. Let me see if I can do what I'm trying to illustrate. I did think about putting the guitar wire in there, some sort of wire, I thought that would be cool because you can probably adjust it and shit. Adjust it and shit. But there we go. See that? Bring it up to the light, maybe. See that? So that can hold my hair just fine. So yeah, that's it's really early in the morning. Sorry, I'm barely awake. But yeah, that's one thing you can do to make to hold up your dreads. It's like a dread ponytail holder type of deal. So, but yeah, that's all you do, and pretty simple, right? I'm going to reinforce it on the top because it's only one stitch around the top. But yeah, it's pretty easy. That's what you can do for fun things with dreads, with your freeform dreads. You can make these kind of things, even if you don't have freeform dreads. And then what I thought about doing was putting this on here, but I would only put something like this on there if it was tight enough, because you saw how when I put it on, I had to wrap it around twice. So this wouldn't work on there. I'd have to make this have elastic in it. So I'm gonna see if I can find some elastic soon, and then I can make some scrunchies out of these. That would be cool. So thanks for joining me today for today's show. Just showing you how to make really fun accessories for your dreadlocks, especially freeform dreadlocks, and people who have thick freeform dreadlocks. If you have thicker ones than mine, then this one would not need to be wrapped around twice. You could just wrap it around once and then slip your dreads in there like so. So, yeah. If you have smaller dreadlocks, you can make smaller beads. Yeah, just use less fabric and use the same kind of pattern that I used to make this big one. So, see, there we go. I like those colors anyway. I like black and white, but yeah. So yeah, thanks for joining me today for today's show. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you try it. If you try it, let me know. It's a pretty easy thing to make. So yeah, thank you for subscribing to my channel. Thank you for the likes and shares, and thank you for your kind comments. Leave your comments down below. Let me know if you've done any fun things like this for your dreads, just to put them up and out of the way. I think it's a fun project, and it's a fun and a good usage of recycled fabrics. So, brightest blessings to you all. Stay creative, and I'll see you soon.